All right, today we're going to dig into a concept that's both ancient and, you'll see, incredibly relevant: biblical justice. And trust me, it's about way more than just a judge in a courtroom. Okay, so let me ask you something. When you hear that word justice, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Yeah, for most of us, right, it's probably a courtroom, a gavel, maybe that blindfolded statue holding the scales. It's all about laws, punishment, making sure people get what they deserve. But what if I told you that's just a tiny, tiny piece of the puzzle? I mean, the biblical idea of justice, it's way richer, deeper, and honestly a lot more challenging than just, righting wrongs. So yeah, let's get into it. To really wrap our heads around this, we've got to step outside that familiar courtroom setting. We need to go right to the heart of the community. And it all starts with this one Hebrew word, tzedek. Now, tzedek, this is the absolute core concept for justice, and it's so cool because it rolls two really powerful ideas into one. It's not just about being a good moral person, it's also about making sure there's a fair and equitable distribution of resources and opportunities for everyone in a society. So think of it like this. You've got these two pillars, right? On one side, you have the personal stuff, our own integrity, our character. And on the other, you have the communal side, making sure everyone, and I mean everyone, in the community has what they need to actually flourish. Biblical justice, this idea of tzedek, basically says you absolutely cannot have one without the other. They're like two sides of the very same coin. Okay, so from this big idea of tzedek, we see it kind of unfold into three distinct but totally interconnected types of justice that pop up all over the place in the biblical text. This table lays it out so clearly. We've got moral justice, that's your personal ethics. We've got distributive justice, making sure society is fair, but check out that third one, restorative justice. Now, this is a game changer. The focus here isn't just about punishing someone who did wrong, it's about repairing the harm done to people and to the entire community. It's about healing relationships, not just, settling scores. Okay, so that's the theory. But where do we actually see this stuff in the text? Let's pull up some specific examples. Right here in Leviticus, you get this crystal clear call for moral, totally impartial justice. And the key thing here is that fairness can't depend on someone's bank account or their social status. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. Everyone deserves to be judged fairly. That's that moral rectitude pillar we were talking about right there in action. And then you get this powerful command from the prophet Isaiah. This is so different, right? This isn't about just sitting back and waiting for a case to show up in court. No, this is an active, demanding call to action. Seek justice. Defend the oppressed. That's distributive justice in its rawest form. It's a command to go out and proactively stand up for people who are vulnerable. And we see these exact ideas lived out by key figures. Take Moses. He isn't just a leader, he's basically an architect of distributive justice, right? Building a whole new society for people just freed from slavery. Then you have the prophets, people like Isaiah, who are kind of like the conscience of the nation, always calling for social and economic reform. And of course, Jesus, who consistently teaches moral justice, but grounds it all in these core ideas of love and compassion. But here's the thing, the text is also super realistic. It totally gets that achieving this kind of big, holistic justice, well, it's a constant uphill battle. It points out at least three major roadblocks. First up, systemic injustice. When the unfairness is literally baked into the systems of power themselves. Then there's personal bias, that same temptation to play favorites that Leviticus warned about. And finally, there's just the simple reality of limited resources. I mean, there are real practical limits to what any of us can do. So the big question is, how does this ancient, kind of complex idea of justice actually translate from the pages of a book into our world, right here, right now? Well, the New Testament picks up these themes and actually goes even deeper with them. Justice isn't treated like some separate political thing over on the side. It's seen as a central expression of faith itself. It's part of what it means to love your neighbor and to actually seek peace in the world. And this is where the rubber meets the road, right? This shows exactly how those principles turn into real practice. When you advocate for fair policies, that's distributive justice. When you volunteer with communities that are on the margins, you're literally defending the oppressed, just like Isaiah said. And when you get involved in stuff like mediation or conflict resolution, that's restorative justice in its purest form. You're trying to repair and heal, not just punish. So we're going to leave you with this to chew on. If justice isn't just about giving people what they deserve, but it's also about restoring what's been broken, how would that completely change the way we look at our own communities, our cities, our entire world? Something to think about. Thanks for digging into this with us.